the Chicago police torture cases, I'd like to put them into context. There were over 100 African-American men who were tortured by Jon Burge and other white detectives under his command. And when we use the word torture, we do not use it flippantly. Men were electrically shocked with cattle prods and electric shock box. Other men were suffocated with plastic bags. Many were beaten about their bodies, and they were deprived of food, water, and bathroom facilities for hours and days on end. And not only did these men suffer this grueling physical torment, but they were subjected to racial epithets and racial slurs throughout their interrogations. I feel very uncomfortable using the words that were used by these detectives, but I feel I need to do so because it gets to the heart of the racism of these cases. So many of the victims were called nigger. The electric shock box that was used by Jon Burge and others was called the nigger box. One African-American victim was threatened to be hung like other African-Americans, an obvious reference to lynchings. And Burge was known for taunting his victims after torturing them, saying, if you complain about this, who's going to believe you? A cop or a nigger like you? It's clear that this pattern and practice of racist torture violates Article 1, Article 2, and Article 5B of the Convention to eliminate all forms of racial discrimination. There's no doubt about it. Despite the wealth of evidence, numerous judicial decisions, and over 8 investigations that have confirmed that this torture took place and that members of the chain of command knew about it and failed to stop it, not a single officer has been prosecuted for their crimes or their international human rights violations. They enjoy impunity with respect to their crimes. Meanwhile, the victims continue to suffer. There are at least 25 African-American men who remain behind bars, languishing in prison as a result of their wrongful convictions, which were based in whole or in part on their tortured confessions. Other victims have finished their sentences. However, they are now out, but they still suffer the psychological damage of the torture and their wrongful convictions, and they have no access to any compensation or psychological services. With respect to these torture cases, I've provided you further information. There's 3 things that we think are necessary that the U.S. government and local authorities on behalf of the U.S. government must do in order to be in compliance with the Convention to eliminate all forms of racial discrimination. The U.S. Attorney's Office now has announced it's investigating officers for crimes of perjury and obstruction of justice because they've lied about their acts of torture. There must be a prosecution. We've had enough investigations. Burge and others must be prosecuted for their crimes. The second recommendation is that these 25 African-American men who remain behind bars, they are entitled to new hearings. Under Article 15 of the Convention Against Torture, it is illegal to use tortured confessions against people in their criminal cases. That's what was done here. They should have an opportunity to present evidence to demonstrate they were tortured, and if that is found, they should be given new hearings. Finally, with respect to many of the torture victims, because the torture occurred in the 70s and 80s and they were wrongfully convicted, it's too late for them to now sue. The statute of limitations has now expired. There's no way for them to get any financial compensation. And Anthony Holmes here, one of the torture victims, that's his exact position that he's in today. It's incumbent on the City of Chicago and the County of Cook to come up with reparations, to come up with a fund to provide financial compensation for these victims in compliance with Article 6 of the Convention. Thank you. Anthony Holmes, who was tortured by Jon Burge in 1973.
Recommendation, 1 minute, please. You're short on time, very short.
What y'all need to do is, go ahead. I sent y'all a tape. I ain't from a deposition. The law firm gave y'all. In the process of that, since that tape is showed, I don't know if you're going to go along and help them, but anyway, I'm glad y'all came. At least that show you see the face not behind the tape. But the bottom line is, until y'all do something, make the United States, Illinois, all of them, and not only people here, but it's all through the states. This is what's going on. Ain't nobody said nothing. When they have to meet, nobody believe. They didn't want to believe. And they threatened me when I went to the county jail and told me I had been tortured. So what I'm saying is, help us, help ourselves. We ain't asking for no handouts, we ain't asking for nothing. All we want is to get our rights back. So we get out here. We do. Since I've been struggling, but I ain't got no problem struggling. I've been struggling all my life. You know, I wasn't a good guy, but I wasn't a bad guy. I didn't deserve what happened to me, nor did anybody else that it happened to. But the bottom line is, the whole scenario is, you cannot accept this and let this keep going like this. Because sooner or later, what's going to happen is, people are going to rebel. And once they rebel, you're going to clear everything that's around. And then they're going to say, why y'all do this? Why we do it? Because you just stepped on us. You didn't give us no rights. You didn't give us nothing. You don't understand the pain that we're going through. You're talking about kids getting killed every day. You're talking about all this here. When you close down all the schools, you close down the playgrounds. I remember when I was coming, we had playgrounds too. We had playgrounds in every neighborhood.
That's right. That's right.
We had wrestling, we had basketball, baseball, all of that.
Right.
We ain't got none of that now. Because they come on, we show the money. But they'll take it and put it somewhere else.
That's right.
But you get these fake police and get them jobs and get them money to take to oversee us. And what the bottom line is, we hurt because they hurt us. You see, ain't no criminal justice in this place.
Ain't no justice.
You know what I'm saying? That's why we suffer. And the more we suffer, the worse we get.
Thank you.